Hi, my name is Jama. I am with the Women's Net Advisory Board, and I'm so excited to introduce our May 2024 winners. We are so excited to have with us today. We have Meghna with Spark Relationship and Sexual Wellness, and she is our business category winner. And then we also have with us Rachna with Cedar and Branch, and she is our startup winner for the month. And so both businesses are doing some amazing things in the wellness space and really helping us to have a higher quality of life. And so we're so excited that you both took the time to be with us today. And maybe, Meghna, can you start and tell us a little bit about Spark Relationship and Sexual Wellness?
Sure, I would be happy to. So I am the founder of Spark Relationship and Sexual Wellness, which is an organization that is dedicated to helping people build happy, healthy love lives. And I do this through a number of services, including one-on-one coaching, public workshops, organized monthly date nights, couples retreats, happy hours, and we also have a blog and a podcast and a YouTube channel. The thing that kind of distinguishes what I do is that we're not clinical in nature. So a lot of times people hear what I do and they think, oh, you must be a therapist. But I'm actually an educator. So my entire career is rooted in academia. And my approach to helping people with their relationships is focused on building their knowledge and their skills around their romantic relationships.
A very essential part of life, and how wonderful. We know that education is so powerful, and so thank you. And now we have with us Rachna with Cedar and Branch also. So tell us a little bit about what Cedar and Branch is about.
Absolutely, would love to. So I'm Rachna, the founder of Cedar and Branch. We are a startup, and Cedar and Branch is a family-forward wellness company. What that means is we create really thoughtful and meaningful wellness experiences in the city, as well as retreats, and everything is designed and crafted specifically for parents, for the whole family, as well as parents to be, since that really is the start of the family life. And our goal and our mission really is in a time where stress and overwhelm seems to have become our baseline state of being, to help inspire, to elevate the mental, emotional, holistic well-being of parents. And then that in itself has such a direct impact on the growth and development of the children. So we really want to help families thrive as individuals and together. And that's why I created Cedar and Branch.
Wonderful. I love that both of you are about connection. And so maybe Rachna, can you tell us a little bit about what sparked or inspired your business?
Yes, I love the using of the spark from.
I know there's more comments with us
That was
too.
smooth.
I love that. It wasn't planned.
So parenting today, Jama, is it's harder than it has ever been. It just feels like parents are running around with schedules that are always too full. They're expected to work like they don't have a family, and then they're expected to raise a family like they don't have really demanding careers. We have all these external expectations and social media pressures, which, while all of us are aware of it, it's hard not to be influenced and do comparisons of what's happening. And then we have all the nuances and intricacies of raising our kids in a digital world and having to work through things like technology addiction and keeping them safe in this digital environment. So the combination of all of this with everything else is most parents are facing parental burnout. Like the statistical number is over 66%. And there was a recent study done that almost 80% of working mothers are battling anxiety. So that's the state that we're living in. And then when I look back to my personal journey, it sort of reflected a lot of those things where I had a very rocky and challenging start to parenting. And ultimately, what started restoring joy and balance in my life is when I went back to my roots, having grown up in India, mindfulness, meditation, wholesome food, Ayurvedic practices, all of that was very much a part of my upbringing. And so once I started including those practices in my life, as well as teaching them to our older son, who just turned 6, but he's very receptive to these these teachings, and it helps him as he works through his little life challenges. So that's what started turning things around for us. And so that combination of all of us are in this boat. So I really wanted to create Cedar and Branch as this heartfelt creation to move the needle on some of these statistics, to change the story of what parenting feels like sometimes, just overwhelm and obligation and routines, and build this community of like-minded families that can support each other, uplift each other, so that we bring that joy, because kids are so joyful. Like, I have never experienced the joy that a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old fill your house with, but then we have all this other stuff that brings us down. So that's where I want to use Cedar and Branch as a part of that narrative that helps change things around and takes us from that chaos to calm and joy.
Oh, so wonderful. Especially, I love how you just remembered and recalled just, what are those things that had me in a joyful place, and returned back to them. And they seem so simple, but with so much noise in the world, you're absolutely right. It's something we have to be very intentional about and carve out in our time. And so wonderful. I love that you're strengthening families. And so maybe, Meghna, if you can tell us a little bit with Spark Relationship and Sexual Wellness and the services that you provide, you talked a little bit about differences a little bit on therapy versus your approach, but what else makes your business unique from other businesses that are also providing a similar type of service?
So I will say that probably one of the most interesting challenges in building my business is that I didn't have a model to map onto. There was, if I had a hair salon or a bakery or some other sort of established business model, then I could have just kind of followed, suit. But because I was just kind of inspired internally and based on my own life experiences with this business idea, I really had to design it step by step and figure out, what does this look like? How do I package it? What are people's needs? And how can I deliver it in a way that actually gets to the root of what they want to know? So when we think about relationship and sex education, I mean, people maybe get mediocre at best, a little bit of sex education, and quite frankly, it doesn't even address the things they want to know. And the majority of people get no relationship education. And when I say relationship education, I'm talking about not even just actually once you're in the relationship, but things like crushes and attraction and flirting and dating and how to choose a compatible partner. Then once you get in the relationship, healthy communication, emotional intelligence, managing conflict, caring for one another, love languages. There's so many things you can do to deepen and strengthen your relationship. But without this education, you're sort of just winging it. You're throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. And I found that, we have this kind of, like I said, mediocre at best education in middle school or high school, which at that point we're not even quite able to absorb yet. And then we leave people to their own devices. And the only time they start paying attention to their relationship again is when things get really rough and they're having problems, and then they seek out a couples therapist. By that point, it becomes intervention. And they are likely full of so much pain and heartache and resentment that we are now unraveling all the damage that's been done to try to repair and restore. And I kind of insert myself in the middle there. And I said, okay, I want to be working with adults because that's usually when we start to form our serious, long-term, mature relationships. But I want to be on the front end of relationship development. I want to help people by educating them with interesting ways of thinking about relationships, approaching relationships, and concrete skills, right? So a lot of times we'll hear these lofty ideas and kind of, idealistic notions about what love should be. We see it on Instagram, right? Love is this, and you find the partner who does that. I'm all about that, but I really like to break things down for people. how do I distill all of these lofty notions and ideals into something that is tangible, that people can take and apply to their lives? And that's the teacher in me wanting to do that, right? It's like, how can I help people learn what is needed and then develop the skills to find that and maintain it? And so I think what kind of distinguishes my practice from, say, a more traditional couples therapy practice is, like I said, I'm less clinical, less intervention, more educational and protective and preventative on the front end. And yet I'm not simplifying and boiling things down to like a level of, let's talk about, I don't know, think about sex education, pregnancy, and let's talk about sexually transmitted infections. All of that's important information, but much of that can be Googled. Not to say Google's right about everything, but I think there's so much more nuance in the romantic side of our relationships that needs to be addressed. And so that's kind of where I see myself fitting, and that's what I have built my business around.
Fantastic. And even that whole self-awareness piece of knowing how to communicate how to be a good person. It's definitely, even, I could see that even, we talk about relationships and sexual wellness, but really when some of these skills are applied in other aspects of our life, it just all gets better. And so I love that it's intervening, being a little bit more preventative than the intervention. And certainly sometimes going that route is a lot easier, a little bit of upfront investment, but it's a lot easier than and even cheaper at times than the intervention piece.
Exactly.
So absolutely wonderful. And so Rachna, maybe you can tell us too a little bit about, we know that there's other industries that, are targeting families and aiming to support families in having more quality time together. But can you please maybe tell us a little bit how Cedar and Ranch is unique from other businesses that are doing maybe similar things?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when we look at what's happening out there today, there's a lot of increased focus on holistic wellness, which is absolutely wonderful. But when we look at offerings that are catered and created for parents and families, it is so limited. It is quite incredible, actually. So, for example, if as a family you wanted to take a retreat, that option essentially does not exist in the US. Like, all the resorts and spas are 18 and over, and all retreats are not inclusive of the whole family. So with Cedar and Branch, we have this very unique offering. I like to think of it as a well-being vacation where peace meets joy. So it's a unique opportunity for parents to get a chance to rest, recharge, focus on their mental and emotional well-being, while the children are in a children's program and also have the opportunity to learn these powerful mindfulness and wellness practices taught to them from an early age in an age-appropriate manner, of course. And then the afternoons are all about everyone coming together and just lots of joy, fun, bonding, those old school like lawn games and everyone getting together and playing together. So that's an offering that does not exist. So that's why I wanted to create this well-being getaway, a vacation where you don't come back and say, I need a vacation from that vacation. You come back with this sense of calm and like peace that you can carry back into your life. You'll have to keep working at it. Just one retreat is not going to solve it, but at least you experience and you find that place that is so much more restful than where we find ourselves in our day-to-day lives. So I think that's one big important factor of what Cedar and Branch is doing. And I think the other thing is we have a huge focus on connection, because at the end of the day, one of the biggest drivers of our long-term health and happiness comes down to the quality of our relationships. And that's something in a time where we are more connected than we've ever been, we're also more isolated than we've ever been. Like that chance for real conversations. That's why I loved everything Meghna was saying with her practice, like bringing people together, having real conversation and communication. That's so important. It's so funny. It's like if I can share an anecdote from like years ago, 2 decades ago, when I moved to the US when I was 18. And it was a big move for me. I had never left India. And it was a couple weeks in. It was overall a great transition, but I was walking down, and a person I did not know that well asked me, "Hey, how's it going?" And I did not realize how much I needed that question, but it felt so good. I was like, it's so great. I don't know this person so well, and they want to check in on me. And I was like trying to formulate my thoughts on the complex emotions. And by then, they had already walked off. And I was so confused. I was like, what just happened? I had just moved to the US. I did not realize back then that the expected answer to how's it going is just good. Doesn't matter what's happening in your life, the answer is good. Took me a couple of times to catch on. I think that's what I want to change. So when you come into a Cedar and Branch experience, whether it's like a short one in the city or a longer one that's a retreat, and we sit down and we talk, and there's the question of how is it going? How are you doing? We really want to explore that and build those heartfelt connections, because that is really what matters at the end of the day. So I think those are some of the things I'm trying to do differently with Cedar and Branch. So it's meaningful, it's heartfelt.
So wonderful. Wow. I know exactly what you mean. I caught myself the other day asking somebody, how are you doing? And I'm like, but did I really want to know? Did I really,
Right.
Yes, so I've explored that myself. I've fallen in that trap both ways. Now I just say good without any intention of sharing. And when I ask, I do that. I'm not really most of the times asking, expecting them to share. So it's yes, it is where we are. I would love to be part of the change where we get more authentic and vulnerable.
how are you doing? And then how are you really doing?
Yes.
We almost have to ask it twice, right?
Yes.
You know, Rachna, what I love about what you've just shared is we know that there's so many family vacations where, couples or families go and maybe there's a pool or there's activities and then it's kind of separate and then you get together and it's just, but it's not, it sounds like what families are walking out of Cedar and Branch with are skills and tools that they're going to use, teaching young ones how to manage strong emotions or, to stop and think and cope better. I mean, those are just all skills that are just amazing. So it's not just a vacation. Sometimes we take these vacations and you're right, we need a vacation afterwards, or we just, there's chaos that happens and during it. And so you have those memories too, but it really sounds like just a true vacation where it's really restorative for the family before going back out into the noise of our day-to-day. And so that's
Absolutely. And it's so powerful when children watch their parents engage in these mindfulness, wellness practices. Was that the way that seeps in? Was that's how I grew up? My dad always said meditation should be a state of being, and I would see him like meditate anywhere and everywhere. So it's just the impact of that, coupled with teaching children at a young age when they're so receptive and so open. It's just whatever we teach them, they want to learn. So I feel strongly about that, the combination of those two coming together.
wonderful. And maybe going back to Meghna a little bit, because you are in a very unique kind of space. We talked about, like that beginning instead of the intervention part. And so what strategies have you used to maybe let others know about your business? Because you are in such a unique kind of place right now.
Yes. Well, when you have the word sexual in your business name, let me just tell you the assumptions people make about the types of things that go on in your office. So I think part of my work is not only trying to clarify to people the nature of what I do, but also to address any misconceptions or, concerns people might have. Not that I get that much, but I think because it's something that, again, like I said, it's not a quick, I can't just say I'm a hairstylist or a chef. When I say I'm a relationship coach, that doesn't track, as easily as some other fields. So I think first and foremost, I've had to get really good at my elevator pitch and kind of how I, in 20 seconds or less, say what it is I do. And as we've mentioned, attention spans are short. People, like you said, when people ask how you're doing, they're not actually asking how you're doing. When people ask what you do, they don't really want the entire explanation. They want the quick and dirty version. So I've had to figure out how to explain what I do to people quickly. And but because the nature of my business is so unique, people don't actively go out searching for it. So if you're looking for a restaurant, or you're looking for a doctor, or you're looking for whatever, you Google that thing and then you see all the options. Well, if nobody's looking for relationship coaching, that means nobody's Googling me. So I've had to really stretch and get creative with how to get myself out there. Of course, I've tried all the different things that most people do, but I think the two most effective things for me is number one, I happen to be on a main street in our city where I have an office space upstairs, but I was given permission to put signage on the building. And so my business name alone is visible in two different locations in a high traffic area where there's restaurants and bars and stores and other things. So a lot of people will tell me, oh, we were just out shopping or getting dinner and we saw the sign and we Googled it. And so if you Google my exact business name, of course, it's going to take you to my website. So that was definitely worth the investment of getting the signs made and going through, the permission process of getting approval to get that on the building. But I would say even above and beyond the signage on the building, the hands down most effective strategy for me has been building up my Google reviews.
Okay.
I did not realize early on how important those are. But in essence, if you don't actively have new Google reviews coming in, your search listing gets pushed further and further down. And so what ends up happening is people do type in, couples therapy, marriage counseling, things that are kind of adjacent to what I do. But because I have gotten so many reviews, with some similar keywords, it has now, from what I understand, bumped my listing up to number one, and I do no paid advertising. I do no paid Google sponsored ads or anything. But when you get real feedback from real clients, that weighs more in the internet world than, anything else. And so I would say 95% of people who come to me now, I have a question at the bottom of their intake form that says, how did you find out about Spark? And they always say Google search and read your reviews and saw how highly you were rated. And so we decided to come. So I know all businesses understand the importance of Google reviews, but for a business like mine, where I'm not even going to catch, certain keywords of people looking for me, I really have to cling on to the feedback from clients and hoping that keeps me visible in Google searches.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because we know that we also have in our network so many coaches and just even trying to describe a service, it doesn't neatly fit into like doctor, lawyer,
Right.
chef. And so that is definitely a challenge. And certainly, for your business, the reviews are, it sounds like really worth gold. So
Yes.
that's pretty incredible. And I love that you figured that out. Did it take a long time to figure or make that connection, or kind of how did you come to that conclusion?
I was thinking that myself. I don't really know. It's been 5 years now. I just remember in the beginning, I don't know if someone gave me advice or maybe I saw it written on the internet or something, but I think accidentally. So I didn't ask for Google reviews in the beginning, but I think some clients just left them.
Yeah.
And then I got feedback from new clients on reading those reviews and liking them. So then somewhere in that, I just started to ask for them, pay more attention to them. Then I learned that it was boosting my listing, and so I think it's just honestly, like most business owners, trial and error. I didn't go into it going, here's my marketing plan and here's what's most effective. You don't know what's most effective for your business until you try all the different things and then you see the return on your investment. So I had a lot of people telling me up front, do paid social media ads, get a spot in the local newspaper. I tried that a couple times. I don't really know how many people I got from that. If I pump more money into it and get more creative with my videos, maybe it would be better. But I have found that the Google reviews alone are carrying all of the weight for me, and it's free. I'm not paying for anything. I am just humbly requesting from the people who have experienced the product or the service share their experience. And we all know that, word of mouth is ultimately the most powerful tool. So yeah, I don't really know when it occurred to me to start prioritizing that. I think it was just learning along the way and then paying really close attention to what is working and what is not working. And in spite of advice from other people to do something different, I followed my gut and I just went with what is actually working.
Fascinating. I absolutely love learning about this. It's, we've had food truck winners, and we know that for them it was community partnerships and the social media, the Facebook, the Instagram. And then we have other companies that say, no, it's not Facebook, it's Instagram. That's where it's at. And then we had our last year's year-end winner owned a wood shop, and it was learning SEO. So she just took a few weeks out of the year and got really good at SEO, took a free course, and that was what did it for her. So it's so fascinating to know what's the, spark.
Yeah.
What gets that going. So
Yeah.
just awesome. Thank you so much, Rachna and Meghna, for telling us a little bit about your business, telling us how you are transforming this world, making it a better place, and helping us to live healthier and more joyful lives. Thank you so much, and congratulations to you both.
Thank you. And
Thank
thank you
you
for
so
all the
much.
support.
Thank you.